All right, Colin wants to know what Zechariah 5 is about. Female angels, women with wings of a stork? What?
Yeah, I would say the first piece of advice here is don't overly literalize the text. I mean, this is a vision. Visions characteristically have symbols. This is no exception. So the women in the vision are never called angels. That's the first thing. They're called women. In fact, verse 10 distinguishes the angel that is in the scene to begin with, distinguishes that angel from the women. So you have two features of the text that divorce the women from the angel category. Now, I'll grant this is a question because of the repeated ubiquitous imagery in our own day of angels having wings, something that isn't a biblical idea. It's medieval, okay? Or, I'll be more generous. It might be the result of a conflation of seraphim and cherubim with angels. In other words, assuming that seraphim and cherubim are angels, even though neither of those terms, seraphim, cherubim, are ever actually called angel, Maloch in Hebrew. They're never called that. But again, in our tradition, we conflate all of these things. We mash them all together. So again, I think really this is a result of early Christian medieval conflation of all heavenly beings into either good guys, those are angels, or bad guys, those are demons. And it's a simplistic angelology and demonology that we've talked about on this show and in my books a number of times. Now, having said that, though, even good commentators will somehow assume, some of them, that cherubim are like humanoid in appearance, and then they'll extrapolate that to this whole angel question. Again, even though they're never called angels. If you look at the Exodus references to the cherubim on the ark, okay, it never says that they're humanoid in form. Again, that's the movies or some artistic representation. The ones in Ezekiel have a human face, but they've got four faces. So there aren't really many people that have four faces. One of the faces is human in appearance, and they have hands, but the rest of it is creaturely. And again, if you go back and look at Babylonian art, you're going to find these features. And they're clearly not humans and not angels the way angels are actually described in the text. The way that angels are actually described is human looking. They look like men. They look like people. And they're never said to have wings. But again, these things get confused. Now, if you have Bible software, I would invite you. Do a lemma search for all of the places with Keruv and Malach, cherub, angel. You're going to come up with 0 hits. Okay, they don't occur in the same passage, right? They're just not there. Malach and kanaf, the word for wing, you're going to get 0 hits. Okay, these terms are not used to describe the other. Now, as far as what might be the meaning here, I think Klein has a nice summary. Again, this is the New American Commentary. This is the most succinct summary I could find for this. Klein says, the woman in the basket appeared suddenly. And this is the vision of the woman in the basket. And we got that. Likewise, in the same scene, the 2 winged women appeared before the prophet. The angel, who's with the prophet, gives no indication of the identity of these 2 women who now appear in the vision, only offering a few cursory remarks. Curiously, the text describes the women as having the wings of a stork. Although the stork is an unclean animal, Leviticus 11:19, the comparison between the women's wings and those of the stork seems to focus on the size and strength of their wings, not on any notion of uncleanness. Consequently, the winged women flew with strength and grace, as did their animal counterparts. In the vision, the 2 women carried the basket with the woman inside from Jerusalem back to Babylon. Now the question, I'll just stop here. The question to ask is, what about the woman in the basket? Well, if you read Zechariah 5, she is a symbol of evil, of wickedness. They're taking the wickedness back to Babylon, where it belongs. Continuing with Klein, the angel may also intend an additional meaning for stork. In other words, when the angel describes these women as having the wings of the stork, there might be something else going on. Even though the stork ranks among the unclean animals, it also had the reputation for caring tenderly for its own young. This observation lies behind the pun in the Old Testament between the Hebrew word for stork, which is chasidah, And the word rendered loyal or faithful, chassid. This same tender care for the helpless young marks the Lord's treatment of his young, the Israelites. That's why he's getting rid of the wickedness and sending it back to Babylon. So there might be some wordplay going on here. I think the chances are good that that's the case, because this is Zechariah. This is post-exilic. This is after the exile. Coming back to the land, we take the wickedness back to Babylon where it belongs. And this is an act of the grace of God. Again, not counting their sins against them and bringing them along. No, you leave them back there, and then you come home. So I think that's the point of the passage.